only for those who are looking at the alivening of the unalivening stance that many of us who have been abused go through. And as our society isn't on a worldly, earthly level ready to actually deal with the real issues, because really what happens is they just want to shove drugs into your throat and numb you out, and which most of us are aware of that and have been there or done that or given it a go or whatever. And we know that it doesn't work, but we keep going, oh, I'll just, maybe this particular medication will work, or so I am 2.5 months off a particular medication that I got promised by a doctor that I trust, had no side effects, and I was on it for about 2.5 years or something, and I had got what do you call it, validation from other people that I trusted, who looked at the ingredients and various things, that this particular medication it's one of the oldest and it's one of the safest, but it's still medication, right? But it's to add serotonin into the brain. What I really need is to have my brain, to have my hormones looked at, and to have the chemical impact. We won't go into the scientific discussion of it all now, because I understand it all and I know it all a lot, but I want to, when we go down that track, I want to give you the correct information. So today is just a generalized discussion around what's my brain, and with all the stuff that's happening in this brain and the inside of it. I've been trying to get help since I was in my mid-20s or early 30s. I'm 55, and society will not address or look at people such as myself, because we don't fit any criteria. They don't get any grant money. They can't, it's not an easy fix. I can explain very clearly in detail what's happening in my brain and in my body, and I can give all sorts of information to help the process. But every single time I do that, I come across people that think that I'm being arrogant, or think that I'm trying to tell them how to do their job, or they've felt threatened by my awareness. And it's like, no, hang on a minute. I've learned this because I need to learn it. I've been learning it since I was in my early 20s. So why are you feeling so threatened? And the more you speak like that, the angrier and more aggressive they get. And I'm talking about professional psychiatrists and psychologists and doctors. And it's like, and it took me a long time to realize I wasn't doing anything wrong, man. Because I understood, because I was learning about, I'm not going to talk about any of the scientific terms today, people, because I don't want to muck up my words. Just keeping it really simple, okay? But because, I did my psychology degree, I didn't finish it, saw too much hypocrisy in that situation. I've done a lot of self-learning around the brain, around chemicals, around, like, we'll go into that in the future, and you've heard it in the past, okay? So self-learned, self-taught, and peer-reviewed. I've had plenty of people, colleagues, say that I'm the best of the best in my field of working with autism, palliative, non-verbal, the mentally unwell. The list goes on and on and on. So as time went by, I was aware that my my skill set was really, I've had lecturers, I've had plenty of people say that I'm next level amazing with the information that I have learnt and absorbed, but I've integrated it because I actually had a motive, and that was to heal myself, to understand myself. And then as time went by, I was like, oh, this information I have, I can help others. And then that's where society really tried to get rid of me. That's when they really went out of their way to get rid of me, okay? And I've talked about that in the past, and I'll talk about it again in the future. And I am going to do a class action soon. I am taking this to the courts in 2 or 3 years. I've kept all the information. There's a lot of systems that will be held to account and are going down, because it's not just me, everyone. It's me and anyone else who has deep trauma, who doesn't want to just take drugs and get drugged out, or who doesn't want to just, play the status quo game of stay small, be small, don't threaten the system, all that sort of stuff. Now, we've been there many a time. So I'm not going to go into detail about that today. Today, I just want to share, and this is a big trigger, a really big trigger, everyone. So this is something that I have to live with. See this? Every single time, and I mean every single time I see a knife or a pair of scissors or anything sharp, I always want to put it here. Always. And other places, but mainly here. Now, where does that come from? And I have to use a lot of willpower not to do that. And I see sharp objects many, many times a day. Okay? And there's something in me that wants to just do that to myself. Now, whenever I describe that to a professional, they immediately want to do horrible things like put me in a cage or shove drugs into me or no. Let's address why. Where does that impulse come from? And hang on a minute, I haven't done it and I won't do it. Okay, I'm 55, I haven't done it and I won't do it. The really good people in my life, when I share that to, they get it. It's trauma based. It's a muscular, it's something about this arm. Okay, it's actually the right arm, the one that's holding the phone. It's something about a muscle memory in my arm and my hand, and it's a reaction to what? To what? Now, this is what I've been wanting to heal for a really long time. And the other thing I really want to heal is when I'm really upset, I always hit here. I always want to hit here. I just read what someone wrote, but it's not relevant. It's okay. It's good. Thank you for commenting, but I'm not going to bring it up in today's conversation. But yeah, there's certain spots that I always go for. Now, when I have brought that up, which was in my early 30s, to people, why? What is it about why it's the right arm and it always goes for this one spot? Why is it the right arm and it always goes for this one spot? Why is it always this spot here? So these are really good questions to ask, right? But do they get answered? No. No. You get the words that they use, okay, and the way they treat someone like myself who actually asks a very valid question about what's happening with their body and their mind, and especially when it comes to something that's very threatening to our well-being, something that's actually very threatening that we don't understand and we want to understand it. If I had a stutter, which I used to, or if I had cognitive, I couldn't read, dyslexia, but all these things that they understand that are easy to answer, they would answer it very happily. And then they get paid all this money and they go, oh, we saved that person. But when it's someone like myself, and trust me, there are many of you out there like me, where does it come from? Now, my depth of discovery has come from very true friends in my relationship with Jesus, and from true friends, and we put Jesus in the story. So I've got two special friends in particular who have done more for my mental, three people who have done more for my mental well-being, okay, than any professional person has ever done. And all they did was be there while I was having a major breakdown, and it was scary for them to be there, but they didn't let the fear come in because they let God protect, they let Jesus protect us. So we're in a circle of protection. And all they did was be there in a non-judgmental space, and even if they saw something that they thought was a bit frightening, like an action that they thought was a bit frightening, they didn't stop me from doing it because they trusted my living desire. They had full faith and full trust in me and my desire to heal, and the fact that I was reaching out and sharing to these darlings. And I would love to get their permission in the future. I will, to share their names, because there are plenty. Someone's asked me where are you from? I'm Celtic, German, Irish, and Italian. And I currently live in Australia, and I was born American. I live in Australia, and I'll probably be in Australia for the rest of my life. But but in saying that, that's one of my journeys. I had to work out what culture am I. German, Irish, Italian, born in America, and then came to Australia when I was 6. So I didn't know what it was, what country was mine, and that was a great place to be, really, because I didn't fit into any set culture, and in that regard, it was like yeehaw. So I wasn't constricted. So I never got constricted to a certain culture or a certain type of way of enforced being. I didn't belong anywhere. So I just went, oh, I belong to the world. I belong to the world and I'm just part of the world. I'm part of the ethos. Like, and then as I've shared with you before, the air, the sky, the sun and the trees were safe to me. And I was a child of planet Earth. So that's how I grew up, okay? It was what one of my ways of surviving. And in saying that, I now realise it was one of the best ways to grow up because I wasn't controlled, I wasn't indoctrinated, I wasn't brainwashed, I didn't try to fit in anywhere, I didn't fit in anywhere at all. Okay. And then as I got older and I got more tired and I wanted to be a really good role model for my kids, and I thought, oh, I better maybe do this, this, and this to be a good role model. The more that happened, the more I started realizing, there's something really, that was in my early 30s, well, some mid 20s, but early 30s was when I really realized there is something very, 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 very wrong slash corrupt slash evil slash dark with this society in general. And that's when I really had my breakdowns, everyone, because I was like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be on this planet. Like, this planet is awful. This is awful. And how a lot of the people think they should live, or when I started really seeing how many people were squashed and controlled and small-minded, and I was like, oh my god, oh my god. And then I started realizing, wow, I've got a vision, I've got a way of being here, and people were coming to me in droves for support and counselling, and they reckon I helped change their life, kept them alive in the thousands. And the more that happened, the more I realised I had something to share that was of worth. Not because I was arrogant or, it was just realising that because of life was showing me that, because people were drawn to me for support. Like, I had a stranger come up to me a month and a half ago, and she just came up to me and she goes, I'm in deep grief. She came really, really close to me and she goes, I'm in deep grief. I went, oh, okay. And then I put my hand on her shoulder, didn't even ask consent because she was right there, like right and like way really close, like really in my personal space. Our noses were basically touching, straight in the eye, and says, I'm in deep grief. I said, oh, okay. And I realised, oh, God's obviously sent her to me. And I put my hand on her shoulders and I said, healthy grief is great. Egotistical grief just destroys you. It destroys your body, your mind. And there's all these words just came out. And I knew that was not just my life experience, but it was God channeling, and not just what I've learned at university and TAFE and all the books I read and forums I've gone to and blah, blah, blah. It was also God saying, you know this, speak it. She's come to you, speak it out. So I did. And then without getting her consent, because everything was happening, she'd already come into my space. So obviously she'd given me consent for me to help heal her, right? It's pretty obvious because she was right there, nose was basically touching, her chest was basically touching mine. She was very close, okay? And this was a stranger, everyone. So then what I did was I put my hand on her neck, but it was this side, and then I just started really gently massaging her neck. And then she went, oh, and then I just went up here, and then I started going like this. And then she was, oh, that feels so good. And I said, please forgive yourself for anything that, and then I just, stuff that you've heard me say here. And she went, thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, and then she said, are you a healer? And I initially was going to say, oh, no, goodness no, because I haven't finished any of my certifications, except for one, because I can't. It's too hypocritical. I always get really angry about the hypocrisy and how many people are getting these certificates and degrees who do not deserve them. There's no merit behind it, like none. I go, I don't want this. I want any part of getting a certificate that says I'm a psychologist when I know how many people, blah, 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 blah. And so I just shot myself in my own foot. I thought, I'm not going to be part of this system, right? So no, I kept thinking, oh, I don't have the certification, so I can't say that I'm this, 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 and this, and this. Then I realised, yes, I am. And then it just came out really loud. Not too loud because she was right there. I said, yes, I am. And when I said that, I felt feeling inside me. Why? Because I actually owned that, yes, I am a healer. And why am I a healer? Because I've been part of healing myself. And that's what this whole journey for me has been. It's what this whole YouTube channel is now about. Because no, I haven't finished my degrees. No, I don't have my certifications on the wall. No, I can't create a business per se. I can get those certificates in a second. Like already up here, I was like prior recognition of learning, blah, blah, blah. I can get the certification and I can get the grants and I can do this when I'm ready to set up a business, when I'm ready. However, I've also found out there's another way. We have social media. We have this forum here. And I don't know if you remember 3 years ago when I was really, really, really depressed, like my life was at real risk. God said, tell the world your story. Remember when I started that first YouTube channel? It was raw as. And it kept being raw. And it was raw. Raw, raw, raw. Because what was I doing? I was roaring. Roaring. I was roaring in rawness. Roaring. Roaring in Rawing. Roaring in rawness. And I knew that in the future I'd have to edit it. And I knew cognitively that in the future there would be a time when I could collect a montage and create an amazing PowerPoint presentation, which this will still happen, everyone, from snippets of those. So a lot of it's just too raw, and that will become non-public, what do you call it, data and fodder. And I'm getting closer and closer and closer to that place of getting it systemized so that I can formulate it and make my platform here very, very highly ethical. So all that major rawness will be edited for the sake of palatability, edited for the sake of maybe there'll be degrees of it. And there will be a section where the rawness will get shown, but only select few will get to see that. Point of the story is it's been a journey, as you all know. You're also on a similar journey. You wouldn't be watching me otherwise. I've been really unwell for about 3 weeks. There's actually a virus going around. Apparently it's a mixture of heaps of stuff, and wow, it's really hanging in. So back to the body self-harm stuff. This is what I really want to talk about in the future, because many, many people do it, and it's just a process of the body, the inner child. The body is still controlled by the inner child's trauma. Some of the trauma might even be when you're an adult. But anyway, there's a residual trauma within the body, a body memory, and the brain might shut down, block out. Must keep going because that's what we do, survival mode. We've got to go, okay, now I have to push that back in order to focus on survival. And that's what I've been doing. Okay, so because there's a time and place when you have to focus on survival, right? So you have to push all that really deep trauma really quite far back into the recesses. But then it comes out. It always comes out. And there's plenty of people that try to, medicate through, they medicate through what pharmaceuticals give them, or they medicate through, alcohol. Anyway, there's a lot of people that medicate. They medicate through gaming, addictions. They medicate through addictions, and acquiescing their feelings, like acquiescing to being numb, like pushing their feelings as deep and far back as they can. However, the memory never goes. The body always remembers. So then you end up with chronic body problems, major physical health issues and major mental health issues. This is well documented. It's well proven. Everyone knows about it, but the system will not actually work on what really heals. And what is that? Of course, it's metaphysical body work. It's connecting mind, body, and soul. It's actually allying with the dark. It's actually the inner child and the adult, and the inner critic, the inner internal critic, which we need to stay alive. The analyst, the internal analyst, all the elements of who we are, connecting as one, within wholeness, completely present within the moment, mindful of what's occurred in the past, however, not letting the past drive the current. Because the past is the past. We all know that. The past is the past, and you can't change the past. What you can do, utilize the learnings from the past in a really self-honoring, self-loving way, like without all the horrible, oh, I've made a mistake there, oh, this, oh, that, la la la. Like, get rid of that language, that disgusting, horrible, self-berating, disparaging, put down language, and speak to oneself from a place of love, like a loving parent would to a child that's learning. Firm, love, loving guidance, right? So in within that trauma, so I can look at a sharp object and my body has this, the inner child has this reaction to do what it wants to do with that. And then I, as the parent, will say, little one, why? And the little one will go, because, and there's all this rage and anger and fury, and all of it's about protecting others. A lot of, there's a lot of reasons for why my body has that reaction when it sees a sharp object and it wants to go to a certain spot. I've delved into that because I've had some very special friends be with me as I'm delving through it. And I mean really delving into it. They let me hold the object and everything and act out what I wanted to do with the object. And they knew that I wasn't going to do anything with it. Like, I might have had a tiny little scratch here or there, but they knew it wasn't going to go any further than that because they had full faith and trust in my faith and love in God, and I was never going to hurt them by them seeing something awful in front of their face. So they trusted me. They had full trust that I had honour for them, their time and their presence. And I was also kept going, I know I'm taking up a lot of time here, that I need to get back into the present right now. Thank you for letting me delve into this darkness and deepness, but I am trying to, like, well, can you help me get back to the present right now? Because right now I don't want to burden you. And that was a true burden if it goes on for too many hours. So these friends would say, okay, well, would you like me to make you a cup of tea now? Right now, could you actually hold that cup? Because my hands would be shaking. And I'd go, oh, okay. And then they would bring the normalcy of the current, the present back in. And then what we would do, and a couple of my friends, I've done the same process with them about up to 6 or 8 times. But I don't like doing it for more than 2 or 3 hours. Now, these friends of mine are my true friends, and they'll be my true friends for the rest of my life. And vice versa, I'll be there for them if they needed that. However, I've been there for other people in a similar state. So, but what they've done for me, I have done for others. But what actually happened with me and these people was, because of my awareness, I was actually able to say, because of my scientific training, I was able to go doof, 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 and give them all this helpful advice. So as I'm going through a breakdown, I was able to go, okay, now right now what I need from you is da 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 da, and they go, oh, thank you, because they didn't have the skill set, right? They were just someone who had an open heart, but they didn't have the psychological degree. They didn't have the mindset of how to actually take someone out of de-escalation. And so whilst I was having my breakdowns, I was actually telling them in a respectful way how to help me get out of the breakdown and come out. And they respectfully were honouring what I was saying, even though I was having a big breakdown in front of them and they were freaking out, not showing that they were freaking out, but going, God, protect this beautiful woman, protect me. They were all out of their comfort zone, but they had full faith. And so through those processes, those 2 women in particular, I will always say, you saved my life. You were part of saving my life. And they know that they were. And we have a life debt to each other. We're going to be forever in each other's hearts. Why were those people able to be there for me? Because they had had certain healings and learnings in their life to get to that point. Why can't I be like that for others? Because I've had my certain healings and learnings. And that, gorgeous ones, is worth way more than any certificates you're going to weigh, or way more, any degree someone might have. And this is what I'm trying to get through to everyone's head. Stop thinking that just because someone has a degree on their wall, they know what they're talking about. Most of those people who have degrees don't know what they're talking about, didn't do the hard work. I could have a degree on the wall, but I actually didn't finish because I saw too much hypocrisy in the system. And it was part of my breakdown. So you will find that most people that can do most of the helpful work for society are the people who society has shunned. So you'll see that really interesting person on the park bench. That person will be one of the most amazing psychiatrists you'll ever experience in your life. Most people in an office with a certificate behind their head, no. No, they're just part of the trauma. They will actually just very happily shove drugs in you, put you in a cell, uh, put you in an asylum, tick some boxes and get paid, and hopefully get another easy project. And I am really clear about that, everyone. I know that the system and anyone working within the system is a big, big part of the abuse. And just do some research and you'll see how much human trafficking is going on. You'll see they do not want the stories of people who have survived horrific abuses, such as myself. Anyone who survived the horrific abuses that can still talk, they really don't want us talking. You know, and I've got names, dates, places, you know, you name it. But I've put it all into God's hands because it's too much for me. I can't handle it on my own. I have kept all my paperwork since I was in my early 20s. And when I do the court class action claim, it won't be to get any like financial compensation or crap like that. It will just be to help others realise that constitutions and to help improve, to help create an ethical, integral, loving, kind, humane, godly system. That's why I'll be doing the whistleblowing. You know, and when we go down that track, people, I'll be strong. I'll be really strong. And so it might be when I'm in my 70s. But I know there's me and many, many other people who haven't been getting the support and help we need from the places that are just riddled with money and riddled with the you know, that's their supposed position, that they're supposedly there to supposedly do da 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 la la la, but they do almost the exact opposite. So it's not about giving up, far from about giving up, but it's about looking at where can we get the true support from. And a true friend, an ethical true friend who has God in the center of their heart, so it's not just us, because as humans we can never just do it. We are not capable as humans. We're just not capable. It's too much. We're too primitive. We're too passionate. We're too emotional. We're too egotistical. When you have a humble, neutral, all protective, all loving umbrella above you, and you're with some friends who do the prayers, and you put safe boundaries in place, and the work that can be done is just next level. So that's my live for today. And why did I start it? Okay, trigger alert again, everyone. Big trigger alert. Because I'm in the middle of organising and this and that. And yet again, I saw, you know, I had to put this away in the drawer. And I almost didn't put it in the drawer, you know? Like, it's like every time I touch anything like that, I always have to say, God, protect me. Please protect me. Because it's that easy. I'm here alone in this house right now. So I don't live alone, but right now I am alone. So it's very easy to succumb. Because I've been unwell for nearly 3 weeks now, and it's like not fun. It's just so not fun, okay? But I've been really in lots of pain physically and having lots of crippled things for about the last 3 years now. I'm not the only one. There's so many of us like that. You know, our pain our bodies, the pain our brains. The older get. If you look at your seniors, though, that's where our inspiration comes from. So the babies have all that beautiful joy and innocence, and you look at an elder who's got joy in their face, they're my mentors. I have so many elderly mentors who, yeah, I'll be one of them one day, like 90, 120, and you can too. So 55 for me is still very young. I have to remember, I keep thinking I haven't done enough yet. I had all this I thought I was supposed to do in my life. I thought I was going to get it done a lot earlier. Well, no, nowhere near it. Probably another 5 years away from it. So I'll be 60. Does that matter? 60 is still really young. And all the learning, I was hoping to get done by the time I was in my 40s or 30s. No, it hasn't happened. Then I felt like a failure. No, no, no. The exact opposite. I'm a true success. So, and I want to say, and so are you, if you can hear that without thinking I'm being glib, okay? Because if you're watching this, you are definitely a success. If you're watching this and you can, one, handle it and you're appreciating this, you are definitely on the track of succeeding, because you are definitely stepping away from doing what you think you should be doing what society tells you should be doing what We're not going to go into the details. I've done it too many times. If you've stepped away from that, and that is trying to tell you that you're a failure, that's all it is. Like, oh, you didn't finish your university degree. Oh, you da da da. Oh, you da 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 da. You're a failure. Blah 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 blah. No, exact opposite. Exact opposite. You're a true success. Okay, just like I am. And what we have ahead of us, our futures, our lives, our present, just phenomenal. And if we've had a past that's full of pain and trauma, it actually is better. Those who have truly suffered are truly the teachers. They are true, the ones who have suffered and come through that suffering, remaining kind and loving and open and humble and true to their calling. So I've had a calling since I was 3 that I'm a teacher, and I never became a teacher per se. However, I'm now in a position of being a teacher to a degree. Now that feels hard to say, just like saying to that lady, yes, I'm a healer. I don't like saying I'm a teacher. I don't like saying I'm a healer. However, I am. And I'm more. I'm way more. I'm also alive, everyone. And that's the biggest success of all. And I'm living from a place of true gratitude, true gratitude, true gratitude, true appreciation. I just feel blessings abound. I feel so grateful. And I am committed to this channel. Can you tell? Like, that's why I went, oh no, it's Monday. Oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no. I went, no, I don't want to do it. Oh, help. And then when I was packing the dishes away and I had that feeling of that knife of what I wanted to do with it, I went, okay, maybe that's what I should talk about today. Okay? Because that is a big reason why this YouTube channel exists. To help us all stay alive and to help us have very beautiful, blessed, godly lives, living our true destinies and our true beauty and our true what we have always meant to be and what we always are. All right, God bless, and I'll see you next Monday. Are you happy with my commitment? All right, God bless. I just have to remember how to turn this thing off. God bless, keep well, keep Jesus in your heart. All right, God bless.